Welcome back to the Maine Machinist channel. This is Jeremy Hiltz at Hiltz Machine Works in northern Maine. And a customer brought me the cylinder yesterday, and we're gonna see if we can save this cylinder. This is from a Honda 200M. If you're familiar with 1980s Honda Power Sports stuff, you know the legendary Honda ATC three-wheelers. This one came from a 200M, and it had been sitting, obviously, for a long time here. We got a lot of bore damage. You can see there's a lot of pitting here. Even at the top, where the top ring doesn't go, there's pitting, there's corrosion. The more I look into the bore, the more I see issues. You know, the customer had hoped initially, they have a history of rebuilding these for themselves, and they attempted to use a 3-stone hone from like a glaze breaker style hone and a hand drill, and had hoped maybe they could clean that rust out enough to put some new rings in it and just use it for their own purposes. But of course, this had too much damage, too much material needs to be taken out, so they brought it here. And what we're gonna do today is I'll video the process of setting this up on the milling machine, where you're gonna set the cylinder up on parallels. I'm gonna first go through and just make sure that the bottom looks okay, no burrs or anything. I'll set this up on parallels. We will dial indicate with the best test indicator up around here, above the top ring where there's less wear, to make sure that we're as close to the center of the factory bore as we can possibly get. We're gonna bore this thing out, and we are gonna hone it on the sun and honing machine, and I believe we will be able to save this cylinder. The cylinder has now been mounted in the Bridgeport mill. I have found perfect center of the bore. I have my boring head installed in the machine. You can see here that I have my X and Y on the readout zeroed in case I want to move the table to get a measurement and then come back. The old bore was 2.559 in the area above the top ring where there's minimal wear. As you remember, the rest of the bore was very pitted and damaged. The new piston just mic'd up to 2.577. We are looking for 1.5 thousandths to 2 thousandths, 3/10ths of clearance on this piston, which is not much. We have started the cut. Taking a fairly light cut this time. I mean, there's only, like we said, 18 thousandths total that we need to go, but take an initial cut. Then I can get a better measurement, because remember, the bore was very pitted. And we'll take the second measurement, and then we'll take a finished cut as far as roughing it on the Bridgeport mill goes. Then we'll bring it over to the home. We have reached the bottom. Turn the machine off. You can see that this cylinder did not clean up with that cut at all. I mean, it cleaned some, but there's pitting here at the top. It had some serious problems down in there. You can see where it's not totally clean. You can even see a little bit of my dicum there that was left over. So let's give her another run through, and hopefully this will all clean up. We've come over to the sun and hone. I'm going to turn this on momentarily. I've got a dial bore gauge that is set for the 2 thousandths clearance that the paperwork on the piston demands. And we're going to finish honing this right now. All right, we have just over 2 thousandths and 4/10ths, 24/10ths to go. It's very hard to do this one-handed to show you. But you can see that our nasty cylinder is starting to clean up. There's a little bit of pitting up here. You can kind of see it with the light, and you see that pitting in the center? Hoping that'll come out, where it's going to be very close. I think this customer is going to be able to use this cylinder. I think we can save it. We are now to size. Let's see if it cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead and call this a success. The customer is definitely going to be able to run this thing. We have saved this from the scrapyard, Honda 200M.